Hello watch friends, Louis from the Wholecut here. A few years ago Casio released the Casio Edifice EFR-S108D, a wonderfully thin and sporty watch in the style of other famous sports watches like the AP Royal Oak. Casio recently introduced a bunch of new dial colours to the model range, but also bumped the prices up, meaning this watch is likely to cost you close to £100. But what if you don't have £100 to spend, and yet you still want that sporty look and Casio reliability? What if you have less than £50 to spend? Enter the Casio MTP-E720D. I was immediately drawn to this watch for two reasons. The first is the multifaceted case, which is reminiscent of the Bulgari Octo Finissimo. And the second is the tapestry style dial, which looks like the type of dial you might find on an old 5-digit reference Rolex Datejust. I'm always on the lookout for watches with interesting dials, and this one fits the bill. There are a few other dial variants available, but this one is the most compelling in my opinion. Anyhow, it's time to take a closer look at this watch. I'll start with the bracelet for no particular reason. In typical Casio style, it looks fantastic. It has a brushed satin finish, and the straight end links really work nicely with the angular style of the case. The trade-off is folded links and hollow end links, meaning it's rather stiff and doesn't articulate very well. The stamped clasp is a bit flimsy too, but it does have a push button operation, which I always prefer, and is signed with the Casio logo. You can remove up to 3 links from each side, and there's just 2 holes of micro adjustment. I did find it somewhat difficult to get a good fit. You may have better luck. Let's move on to the case. It measures 38.3mm in diameter, with a thickness of 9.5mm and a lug to lug of around 43mm. It's a little bit unusual with the round bezel in contrast with the faceted lugs and sides. The bezel and the sides of the case are polished, whereas the top of the case and the tops of the lugs are brushed. There's a small unsigned push-pull crown sat within the crown guards, and a snap-on case back etched with the specifications and Casio branding. The crystal is a mineral glass with a slight dome, which offers a little distortion at certain angles. The water resistance rating is only 50 meters, which isn't amazing, but really, that's the only negative. It's otherwise well done. The movement is a basic Japanese quartz movement, and surprisingly enough, the second hand hits every marker. Now we come to my favourite part of the watch, which is of course the dial. There's baton hour markers, a printed white minute track, a framed date window, and Casio branding below the 12, and water resist 50 meters above the 6. The handset is a pencil style with loom, but it's not great. All pretty standard stuff, but it's the simplicity of these features that makes the tapestry style dial really stand out. The execution of the vertical stripes is fantastic and looks like something that would be right at home in a much more expensive watch. It just adds a little bit of flair that elevates this watch above other watches in this price range. So what's my verdict? Well, I think it's one of the coolest and most interesting watches you will find for less than £50. £50 really doesn't stretch as far as it used to, but you can always rely on Casio to deliver the goods. It's the same old cheap Casio story. A really nice style, a cool case, and a basic bracelet and clasp. It isn't hard to see where the corners were cut and money was saved, but that's okay. In the intro, I compared this watch to the Casio Edifice EFR-S108D, and my initial impression is that this watch isn't on the same level in regard to specifications and build quality. You are getting what you pay for, but in terms of aesthetics alone, this watch is a valiant competitor. Is it better looking? That's up for debate, but in any case, I'll do a full comparison video in the near future. The problem for Casio right now is that the brand once dominated the affordable space, but AliExpress brands are producing watches which offer even better bang for buck. Fortunately for Casio, A lot of those brands focus almost solely on specifications and build quality, and it often results in an end product that lacks character and charm, unlike this cheap Casio. Let me know in the comments what you think. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.